Welcome everyone to today's tutorial. And before we begin today's tutorial, I want to use this opportunity to thank all my viewers and all my followers. In fact, I appreciate you guys so much for the massive following. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. And in today's tutorial, we're going to design a social media poster for a fruit juice brand in Adobe Photoshop, and I'm going to teach you how to design this from scratch. So when you open your Photoshop, you open your bridge in Photoshop. The first thing that you click is on new file. Now when you click on new file, you're going to use a 5x5 poster and make sure it's in inches. So let's rename our poster to orange juice. Good. 5x5 is in inches. The color mode is RGB. I'm going to see our elements very well. So we're using a 300 pixels resolution. And then our background elements are transparent. After you create your file, you see this. Great. So when you open, great. So when it comes like this, you're going to introduce our background. So to introduce our background, we're going to come to our files, our program files. So the link to the files is in the description. You can download that. So I drag this into it and make sure that I bring it down a bit. Now I can use content aware fill to fill this blank space, but I don't want to do that. I want to use the same layer. So I'm just going to duplicate this, and then for the one underneath, I'm going to press Ctrl T, and then I'll bring it up a bit. I think it's okay like this. And for the one on top, I create a layer mask. I bring in my brush, I press the B to enable my brush, and then I wipe this thing off. Okay, make sure that your foreground color has been set to black. If it hasn't been set, just press the X key to interchange the foreground and the background colors. Great. So now I can group these two layers by pressing Ctrl J, and then I'm going to rename it and call this J. Good. After I've done that, I'm going to bring in my main juice, a picture of that. Good. So when I bring it in like this, I'm just going to go into select. I go to subject, then I let Photoshop do its own thing to select the subjects from this image. It's going to take a while to do that. So after that is done, you realize that some of the layers which we expected to be, some of the elements were not selected as expected. So you're going to come here and then you're going to use the quick selection tool. If your caps lock is on, make sure you turn it off and make sure that your hardness is set to 100%. Okay, good. If you want to do that, you can come here and then set your hardness to 100%, and you're going to continue selecting some of these things that we want. Great. I think it's like this leaf. Great. I think it's okay like this. Great. So I'm just going to click on this to create a max out of it, and then we use our move tool to position very well on the table. You realize that somehow the BG should be brought down a bit. Great. Now I want to place my bottle around the center, and to ensure that it is correctly placed in the center, what I could do is that I can use my grid lines. So I go to view, I go to guides, and then I go to new guide layouts. When I go to new guide layout, okay, I'm going to set my rows, okay, to 2. Make sure that there's nothing in your gutter, there's nothing in your height. Okay, so good. So you're dividing it into two rows. Okay, then you click on okay. So since I want my bottle to be somewhere around the center, I can press Ctrl T, and then I resize the bottle in order that the bottle is placed somewhere in the center, and the size is somehow like this. Great. So now I can turn my guidelines off. Okay, I don't need them anymore. Let me clear my guides. Great. Now I can do my manipulation from here, but then I usually don't like doing manipulation right away from here. What I want to do is to bring in all my elements. Okay, so all the necessary elements, I bring them in, and then I do my manipulation. Okay, I hope you get me right. Great. So I'm going to create a group out of this and call this the bottle. Great. So now out of the bottle layer, I'm going to place this thing on top of the bottle, so it looks like some leaves are falling somewhere in the background. Okay, and I want to enlarge this thing. It's not enlarged enough. Great. I think I like it like this. It's fine. It's fine like this. Good. Good. Then after doing this, I want to bring in the other leaf elements. Okay. Good. So I bring in this leaf element too, and then I make sure that I resize it, and I put it in the corner. Okay, you can press Ctrl 0 to have a full screen idea of what's happening over here. Great. Since I want to let it look like the leaf is falling, I can choose to rotate it like this, so that it looks like the leaf is falling. But then let me leave it the other way around, like this. Great. I prefer it like this. And then the last element I'll bring in is also this one, the head of the orange juice. So I can place this in the corner. Okay, good. Make sure it's looking dapper in the corner. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I realized I brought in all my necessary elements. Okay, I brought in everything, so I can go ahead and do my manipulations. Okay, so the first manipulation I'm going to do is on the bottle. So I realized that there's a sunlight, or there's some sun rays that is coming from this side. You could see it over here. That's on the bottle. There are some light rays falling on it, and so definitely you expect that this will cast a shadow. Okay, you expect that this will cast a shadow. So for the shadow layer, I'm going to do Ctrl J of this, and then for the one in beneath, I'll convert it to a smart object. I have a keyboard shortcut where I convert to a smart object, but mine is Ctrl+. I've set my own shortcut, but if you want to do yours, you could just right click and click on convert to smart object. Okay, good. So after I do that, I'm going to right click and I'll go to blending options, and then my color overlay, I'll set it to black. Okay, so it seems like you're not seeing our element well, but when you press Ctrl T and you rotate it like this, you begin to see your elements. So we expect that this thing is going to cast a shadow. Good. So I try to place my shadow layer very well. Good. Now let me max off the other parts that I don't need. Okay, I'm going to take wipe all those things off, and for the parts that I need, I'm going to reduce my opacity down to, I think, 24 is okay. Great. I like this subtle shadow. It's very subtle. I like it this way. Good. And I realize that for the main layer, there are some parts of the elements that we don't really like, and we want to take them off. So we come to the layer max, or the maxing over here, and then we enable our brush. You make sure that the hardness of the brush is set to 100%. Okay, good. So the brush has to be smaller, and then we have to zoom in so that we can see it. And then, sometimes the Photoshop does not select the subject as you would expect, and this is how you correct it. Okay, you can either choose to use the eraser, or you use the mask to wipe off the unnecessary parts, but I usually prefer this one, because this one you can reverse it, and for the ones that you've cleaned, you can just bring it back by reverting the same brush. I remember I say press X on your keyboard. You see, you can bring all this thing back, but the eraser, you can't do that. The eraser, when you wipe it and it's gone, unless you reverse the whole thing, and then you work on those layers that you need. Great. I think I like it like this. Great, it's okay like this. So back to the move tool. Ctrl 0. Great. Now I'm going to do some manipulations on the bottle. So I'm going to enhance the lightness on this bottle. Okay, but before I do the enlightenment of the light, and before I enhance the light and all that, I'm going to convert this to a smart object by pressing Ctrl dot on my keyboard, For you, you would right click and then you convert to a smart object. Good. After I've done that, I'm just going to go to filter and I'm going to go into camera raw filter. So I'm going to wait for my camera raw filter to open up for me. Great. When my camera raw filter opens up for me, I can go ahead and reduce my highlights and then increase my contrast. Reduce my highlights, and then I could increase my texture and increase my clarity slightly. I can choose to dehaze it too. Great. I think it's coming out so well. Then lastly, into my details, about to sharpen the image to about 31. I think 31 will do. Great. And then I'm going to click OK. Great. I like it like this. You see, the only problem here is the levels of exposure. You know, there's a light going to fall on it, and the light that is falling on it is looking too dim. In fact, it doesn't fit well in the background, and you would have to work on the exposure. Okay, you can use brightness for that, but then exposure does the magic. So I'm going to clip it to the layer underneath by clicking on this one. You can also right click and then choose create clipping mask. Okay, but then I like this one. Okay, let me release the clipping mask. So right click, create clipping mask. It does the same thing. Okay, good. So for this one, I'm going to increase my exposure, not so much. So I'm going to use my gamma corrections. The gamma correction is too much of it to make it look unreal. Okay, so make sure you do it lightly and then press Ctrl I on your keyboard to invert it, and then enable your brush by pressing the B key and increase the size of your brush. This time around, make sure your hardness is set to 0, and then if your brush is not in effect, just press X on your keyboard and then you can brush the side. You see that it is increasing the exposure on this part of the bottle, but then I want a better exposure. Okay, good. I think I like it like this. Good. So I come back here and then I brush on this. Great. Now I need another exposure layer. This time around, I want to reduce my exposure. You see, the clipping mask has already been created. So anytime you're creating a new adjustment, you do it underneath the one you created before, so that you don't have to do clipping mask all the time. Okay. So for this one, let me reduce my exposure a bit. Okay, so this is the part that the sun will not hit. So I press Ctrl I on my keyboard and then I brush this thing on this side, okay, of my bottle. You know, these are subtle ways of doing photo manipulations in Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so if you want to learn photo manipulation, just make sure you subscribe to my channel. Here I do a lot of photo manipulations in my designs. So looking at this, I think I love what I am seeing, so I can go on and do the rest of what I want to do. So for the rest of what I want to do, I want to add some labels to it. So I would go here, create a new rectangle. This rectangle I'm going to create, I'll make sure that my fill is set to a green color. Okay, so I can pick any of the greens over here. This green is too deep. Anyways, you're going to create a gradient overlay over it, so it doesn't matter what color we choose at this point. Okay, you understand what I'm saying very soon. Good. So I draw my circle over here, and then for my border radius, I make sure I go high as I think 73 is fine. Great. So now with this rectangle that we have, like I said, I'm going to create a gradient overlay. Okay, so I'm going to come here. You can come here and choose gradient overlay, but then you can also use your adjustment for that. Okay, so let's use the gradient overlay, or you can use the gradient map tool from your adjustment, but let's use a gradient overlay. Great. So as you've seen, I've already created it, but let me show you how I did it. You just copy my settings. Okay, good. So just double click this one, okay, or you just click it once, and then when you click this thing on your gradients, you're going to click on the first one. Okay, and your first one, it always, as soon as you click on the first one, it chooses your foreground color for you. So I can choose my foreground color to be this kind of green, and then the extreme color on this side is the lighter version. Okay, good. So you can just still in your green section, you want to create the simulation that the light is coming from this side. Okay, so the green gradient is coming from this side, and we can you see there's a deep shadow from the bottle on our labels. When you want your flyers to be very nice, you have to consider the lightning. The lightning not only affect the element itself, that the lightning could affect the texts, the lightning could affect some of the rectangles, anything. The lightning could affect just anything in your designs. Okay, so you might want to consider that. So I want to duplicate this rectangle, and for this one I press Ctrl T, and then I resize this one. For this one I want it to be smaller. Great, I think I like it like this. Great. And I realize that my element, I mean my bottle, and then the leaf on it is not really center aligned. Okay, so I choose this element, I press up Control and I click on this element, so I press Ctrl T, and then I bring my element somewhere here so that it is in the middle. That's why it's very good to always group your layers. Okay, since I grouped my layers, you realize that doing this movement wasn't so difficult at all. So now I want to bring in some of the text on this one. Okay, but I want to bring the text above, so I'll put it above the adjustments over here. So for this one, the font that I'm going to use is Mon Oblique. Okay, I'm going to use Mon Black Oblique. Okay, so the cost is $10. Let me go back to my move tool and press Ctrl T, and then let me increase the size of this one. I'm not really feeling the Mon Black Oblique, so I think I'd rather go for Mon Bold Oblique. Okay, so let me go to Mon Bold Oblique. Yes, I think I like this one. This one is much extended, you see. It's easier to read this text than the one I chose before. Great. So let me duplicate this one, and then for this one will be the $sign. I press on Ctrl T, I scale it down, and then let me zoom in to see what I'm doing very well. The $sign is too big. Great, I think I like it like this. Now this rectangle seems to be too small for what I want to do over here. Great, so let me duplicate this one, and this will be the price. So the price for the GS is $10.99. Great. My elements this time around I have to position them. I'm going to ensure that these ones are aligned perfectly on the center. So I select both of them, then I come here and I choose, what did I do? No, I'm not supposed to select the 10, it's rather the 99. Great, I think I love what I'm seeing over here. If you feel like your text is too big, you could always make it smaller. Okay, good, I think I like it like this. So no, I want to duplicate only the 10. I press on my Alt key and I used to duplicate all the time. It makes it easier. So for the 10, I'm going to this time around it's going to be called fresh. Let me resize it. Great, and then let me copy this. Juice, fresh juice. Now at this point I would have to resize everything to make it look great, great. I think I like it like this. Then let me press Ctrl T for both of them, and then I resize both of them. Good. No, I can resize this rectangle too. Good. I think it's looking better like this. Great. Great. At this point, I'm almost done with everything. Left with the brand's name. Okay, so I'm going to just bring in a random brand name for this one. The font I will choose to use is Montserrat, and I like Montserrat semi-bold italic. Okay, great. So the brand's name is Vivi Ventures. Great. Vivi Ventures. And make sure it's center aligned. Great. Now that I'm almost done with my flyer, you see somehow my bottle and the underlining layers are not balanced so well. It seems like my bottle, the color is off a bit. And if you want to do this kind of color corrections, you can always come to your adjustments layer and then you use your curves adjustments. Okay, the problem is with the contrast. And when you use your curves adjustments, you brighten the bright areas and then you darken the dark areas. Okay, this then helps for you to get the colors balanced out very well. Okay, so one part wouldn't be so bright while the other is so dark. Okay, so let's see the before and the after. Before, after. Now it balances out a bit better. And then to make it more better, I can use my photo filter. So I can come into my adjustments, go to photo filter, and the filter that you want to apply over here could be green, depending on what you want to do, or orange like I did before. Okay, so let me change it to green. Okay, so make sure it's not so bright. Good. Then you can reduce your density. Your photo filter also balances out the color so well for you. And then the last thing you can do is to use your color balance to make the whole thing realistic. So you're going to do your shadows, and then you're going to go towards the blue slightly, and here you can go towards the greens. You go into your highlights, you can go towards the yellows over here. If you feel like the colors are too bright, you can reduce your color balance, and then you could always use your curves adjustment layer to reduce the brightness. Some people like their flyers so bright, but then it all depends on you. So I'm going to leave mine like this. Before we go away, there's one last thing I want to do. Remember that we said there's a sun rays that is coming from here. Good. We want to bring in this sun rays layer. Okay, so you can just create a blank layer, and then you go to your brush, enable your brush. Good. Now there's this brush that I have that there's brush preset that is done by Visuals of Julius. You can look it up. I'm going to provide a link in the description so that you download these brushes. Okay, so for these brushes, there is sun rays in it, and for the sun rays I'm using the sun rays 2. Okay, good. My brush is not coming out. Good. I have to disable my caps lock. So when I click over here, you see that your sun rays are coming out. Good. So with this, you get a realistic sun rays on your final design. Okay, and it makes your design pop out and to look nice. Okay, so you could finally do that, and then I think that would be it. That will be the final touch that you are adding. So on that note, I would like to thank you guys for watching. Like I said before, thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. Make sure you share the link to this video with your friends. See you in the next video. Bye bye.